Fort Bliss, Texas was established in 1848 as a cavalry post to fight off Apache and Comanche Indian intrusions, and subsequently in 1914 led excursions into Mexico in pursuit of Pancho Villa during the Mexican War. Fort Bliss, Texas is the largest landmass military installation in the United States, comprised of approximately 1.12 million acres in Texas and New Mexico.
Welcome to the 1st Armored Division Old Ironsides Museum at Fort Bliss, Texas. The 1st Armored Division Museum contains heavy armor tanks and helicopters involved in World War I and II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, Gulf War, Iraq War, and the Afghanistan War, as well as miscellaneous armaments and artifacts. Every relic at this museum represents hundreds of thousands of lives, a story, a heroic act, a loved one that never returned from war. The M109 155mm howitzer tank was the main divisional artillery system of the Mechanized Infantry and Armor Divisions during Operation Desert Shield in the Gulf War and Operation Iraqi Freedom.
The large tank is the M48A2 Patton tank, deployed to Vietnam with the 5th Infantry Division. The tank with the star inside the ring is a World War II M10 tank destroyer. The tank with the star inside the ring is a World War II M10 with 3-inch cannon tank destroyer. The tank destroyers knocked out approximately 2,600 German armored track vehicles, including 300 in the Battle of the Bulge. The key tank destroyer contribution was helping the United States Army conquer the fear of the German Panzer and gain confidence to meet the challenge of the German Blitzkrieg.
The Huey helicopter was the workhorse of the Vietnam War. The Huey helicopter was used as an attack helicopter, as an ambulance, and as a team transport helicopter. It introduced rapid mobilization of combat troops into combat areas. The Cobra helicopter evolved from the Huey helicopter and shares its engine. The Cobra is an attack helicopter used extensively in the Gulf War, Iraq, and Afghanistan wars. This is a Russian Hind 6 Mi-24 attack helicopter, immortalized in the movie Rambo 3 with Sylvester Stallone. This helicopter was captured in Afghanistan when it was abandoned by the Russian army upon their withdrawal from Afghanistan.
The Mi-24 Hind 6 Russian helicopter saw action in the Soviet war in Afghanistan, where Mi-24s were frequent targets of U.S.-provided Stinger surface-to-air missile systems. The Mi-24 Hind 6 Russian helicopter was used to popular effect in the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s, where they fought against U.S.-provided AH-1 Cobra helicopters, both of which are exhibits at the 1st Armored Division Museum. The Hind 6 was used in the Nicaraguan Civil War, Sri Lanka, the invasion of Kuwait, the Russian-Chechnya Wars, in Sierra Leone, Kosovo, Ivory Coast, and as recently as the Congo.
The The M48A2 Patton tank got its name during World War II under the command of General George Patton and was the main battle tank used in the Vietnam War.
The M41 Walker Bulldog light tank saw limited combat with the U.S. Army during the Korean War, but saw extensive combat during the Vietnam War. The tank with the Thunderbolt inscription is the M4A1 with 76mm gun Sherman medium tank, regarded by many as the workhorse of the U.S. Army during World War II. The M26 with 90mm main gun Pershing medium tank was used by the Army during the last 2 years of World War II and the Korean War. This original tank is a very rare survivor of the war.
M1A1 Abrams tank was the main battle tank during the Gulf War. It is still in use today with extensive modifications. The T-72 Russian tank was used by the Iraqi Republican Guard Tank Division during the Iraqi War. The V-2 rocket is a relic of the Cold War and was developed as an air defense weapon, capable of delivering an armed warhead thousands of miles.
The M113A1 Vulcan combat vehicle is equipped with a Vulcan M16A1 six-barreled Gatling gun. It is classified as an armored personnel carrier used mainly in the convoy escort role during the Vietnam War. It was deployed to Vietnam in 1968 as an air defense test unit that trained at Fort Bliss, Texas. The test team of 28 men, supplemented by soldiers from the 5-2 artillery, earned Army Commendation Medals or Bronze Stars, and 2 were killed in action, including the commanding officer. Facing the front doors of the museum is an M3 Lee medium tank. M24 with 75mm gun Chaffee light tank saw action during the last half of World War II in Europe and as the only operational tanks in Japan at the start of the Korean conflict. The M24 was rushed to South Korea to help stop the North Korean attack. The Hawk missile system, first used in Vietnam, also saw active service in the Iran-Iraq War. M55-1A1 with 152mm gun launcher Sheridan tank was classified as an armored reconnaissance airborne assault vehicle. The main gun could launch a Shalala anti-tank guided missile with a range of 2,000 meters and saw action during the invasion of Panama and the Gulf War. Foreground is the M2 Vulcan, or God of Fire's anti-aircraft gun. The M42 AV Duster was used by Army infantry units and the U.S. Marines in Vietnam. The Phantom Warriors tank is an M60 with 105mm main gun medium tank. After service during the Vietnam War, it was only assigned to units in Korea and Europe to reinforce NATO in the event of a Warsaw Pact attack.
M60 Patton Main Battle Tank. The Phantom Warriors was a volunteer army division in World War II. The movie Restrepo was filmed in honor of a hero killed in the Afghanistan War. Every relic at this museum represents hundreds of thousands of lives. A story, a heroic act, a loved one that never returned from war.
Produced and directed by R&D Global Services, Dr. Linda S. Restrepo and Dr. Carlos E. Restrepo. The information presented herein is proprietary data of R&D Global Services.